we're all chasing that one thing, and that's a national title. So we're all chasing that. So, Michael, we're going to start with you tonight, buddy, and we're going to talk about our biggest coaching hire coming into our school this year. So we'll start out with the UGA, the Dogs today. And, Michael, what you got for us, good buddy?
Well, the biggest name that I've got that just come to mind is that Phil Rushier is our offensive line coach now. And the guy that was in that role, Stacy Surreals, he's stepping down. I don't guess it's a lateral move for him, but he's going to be our offensive analyst. And, with programs such as especially Georgia and Alabama, and I would say Alabama more so under the Nick Saban era, is every year after year, almost like every 2 years, you would have a different offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator. That hasn't been the case so much for Kirby lately. We've still had the guys at defensive and offensive coordinator, but Coach Smart is making some changes with our offensive line coach, going to that Phil Rushier guy, which you'll have some good guys to work with, some of the returners that we have. Like I say, most of our offensive line had a lot of experience this past year. The biggest name I can think we're replacing is that Freeling on the left tackle side, but everybody else has worked in. So I'm excited to see what Phil Rushier is going to do for our offensive line group. I think he's going to be a big time coach for us, and I'm excited about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got to think, man, last year the offensive line, I think going into the season was kind of a question mark.
It was.
And with all this returning experience and the offensive line coach kind of making that change, you talk about all you want to, but Kirby knows what he's doing. If he feels like a change needed to be made, he's doing it for Georgia. And so all this returning experience, it could be what really sets Georgia apart going in this next coming season. You guys have 4 returning starters. That's huge in the SEC, with experience. Like we've talked in the past.
You go ahead.
I was going to say the past 2 years, the biggest thing that you've seen in teams that go on to win the national title or are competing in the Final Four or making the playoffs, those are teams with experience. Yeah. Those are teams that are old. They're veteran teams. So to have them come back and to have a little bit of continuity at the offensive line and your returning quarterback, I mean, that's huge. And to have an offensive line coach that can come in and maybe Kirby's wanting to change the mentality. Maybe Kirby's saying maybe we got too complacent. We've not been that same old Georgia team that he remembers back in the 21, 22, 23 team. And he's ready to get that physicality back because physicality wins the day.
And one of the biggest things and the thing I'm excited most about is the fact that if you go in the portal, like all these teams do, every big-time team has to go in the portal nowadays, and to find a great offensive lineman, like whether it be the center, the guard, or the tackle, to find a great offensive lineman is not easy to do. Those guys are almost as valuable as the stars, like the wide receiver position, the quarterback or running back position. Because, man, if you can't have a great offensive line to go out there and block for your running game or to make moves like that, then you're in trouble. And that's why I think that was a really good pickup for Kirby to go and get that Phil Rushier guy, because we may have gotten complacent because we haven't had our offensive and defensive coordinator taken from us. I don't foresee Bobo going anywhere anytime soon. He's probably going to be at Georgia forever. And a guy like the same thing kind of goes for Glenn Schumann. I don't know. His name was tossed out there for like one of these coaching vacancies, especially maybe in the SEC, which is a subject we may get on later on in this show. But the SEC has 6 new faces in the head coaching positions. So I thought we would lose a guy like Glenn Schumann to one of those. But yeah, that's the guy that I'm excited about to kind of take over our offensive line. And I hope day one just produce, because going into that Tennessee game in 2025, that was my biggest concern. I thought, man, our offensive line play has not been very good. And we're about to go into Neyland and have to play that team, a fired up team. And really it was a nail biter all the way to the end. And we didn't have great offensive line play. They kind of turned it around towards the end of the season. But like you say, I think that's why Kirby decided to make this move. Because if not, you're like, are you going to stick with Stacy Surreals, who, like I say, is going to the offensive analyst role, but I think it was a good decision by Kirby to bring in Phil Rashear and see how he does.
And just to
Well, what
make
do you
a
think?
comment
How
on
far?
that, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Adam.
I was gonna shoot it to you and just say, how big do you think offensive line play is, not only for Georgia but just in general?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I'll comment on that, but I think Kirby Smart knows what he's doing, man. If he can get some big guys up in the trenches there up front, man, if you can give a high caliber quarterback like Gunnar Stockton time to work, I mean, we know the guy can run. I mean, he's got legs on him. He's got wheels underneath him, guys. So if you can put some big up front guys on the line, give him time to work, man. I mean, it's almost like Georgia would be unstoppable on offense.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen big plays made by Gunnar Stockton.
Yeah, and going back to like last week, my biggest concern from a week ago, our podcast a week ago, was the wide receiver role for Georgia. But man, I mean, if you have a great offensive line coach, you have a great offensive line that stayed with Georgia like we have, you give those wide receivers that may not have that much experience some time to get open and to help Gunnar Stockton out. But yeah, if they're trying to have to do these dink and dunk down the field because Gunnar has no time in the pocket, then we're going to be hurting. But I think that's why he decided to make that change, because that's like anybody. No team is successful without a great offensive line.
No, and that's actually, to be honest, man, that's actually my biggest coaching hire is our offensive line coach, Aiden Keelam. You know, he come in, and I think he was at USC as like an offensive analyst, and they brought him in to Bama. But that dude's a 3-time Super Bowl champion, and the biggest stat I looked at with him, Adrian Keelam is that he was with Oregon. If you remember back when Bo Nix was there in like 21, 22, when Bo Nix was having his great year, that they only gave up 5 total sacks with him at offensive line.
Yeah.
As a coach, offensive line coach. Last year alone, Alabama gave up 33. 33. And then I think the 2023 season when Milroe was there, we gave up 49. I mean, that's just inexcusable at Alabama. And plus, our run game was atrocious. I think I was watching Mark Shalee or something like that was on the next round this past week. Sorry, I can't remember his name, but he was even talking about Bama's offensive line. He said this is a funny story that him and Gruden sat down for 5 hours to watch Ty Simpson tape, and that during watching Ty Simpson play, he said, I cannot figure out what Alabama offensive line is trying to do. He said they're getting whipped every which way. There's no set scheme. There's no nothing. He said it's just you can't. There's no consistency there, and that's the biggest thing we fought with last year, man. Was our offensive line. We couldn't give Ty time. We couldn't get no yards in the run game. I mean, it was really atrocious for what Alabama has always been. I mean, we've been able to line up and just dominate for so long, and to see an offensive line almost get dominated in front of us. And I'm not talking about guys just against Tennessee or against Georgia. I'm talking about when they played the smaller schools. You know, you would see the tape. I mean, it's just you're getting whipped against anybody. And you got to make that change. And the biggest change I'm hoping that they're going to make is when they faced Indiana, man. I went out there, like I said, I watched the Rose Bowl in person. I've never seen Alabama get dominated up front like that. Physically. I mean, Indiana imposed their will on them. And Georgia did the same thing like 2 weeks ago. The first half of the Oklahoma game was the same thing. I mean, just getting absolutely whipped. So hopefully this change in offensive line for Bama is what really can turn Bama around this upcoming year. Because whoever we put back there at quarterback, I don't care who it is, Austin Mack or Keelan Russell, you're going to need time. The SEC, I mean, with Tennessee, Georgia, Auburn, A&M, LSU, all these great teams, they always seem to have a great defense and pass rusher. And when you can't protect your quarterback, you're not going to do anything. Yeah. We're lucky how far we got last year with what we put on the field. So I'm just hoping and praying that we finally made a change.
And that's really impressive to make it as far as Alabama did, having the run game they had. And Georgia kind of did the same thing. They finished nearly last, which is very sad to say. But the 2024 season, Georgia finished nearly last in the running the ball, which is what Georgia's known for. They finished nearly last in the SEC this past year, making the changes that they made and having the somewhat better offensive line play. They were like 4th in the SEC. Yeah. So I think this is going to be a good move too, because this guy, Phil Rushier was on the staff last year as an offensive analyst, but prior to that, he has tons of NFL experience. He was with the Vikings, the Redskins, the Broncos, all as offensive line coach. So anybody that wants to go to the next level and play for a guy like Phil Rushier and Kirby Smart at Georgia, you've got somebody that has NFL experience. He's going to teach him what he's learned all throughout his career. So, yeah, I think that's going to be a big-time factor for Georgia.
Well, that's the same thing with Adrian. I mean, 3-time Super Bowl champion. He played all the way through the league, and then he got into coaching. I think it was like 2008, and just built his way up to where he is now. And having that offensive line, and when you can go and tell kids, there's a difference in like me and you going to talk to a kid and saying, do this, do that, because really we had no real experience with high school football as far as we went. But when you can say, I'm telling you to do this because I won 3 Super Bowls. Yeah. I've been at the highest level of football. I've went to where you're dreaming of going. Then I'm going to listen because this man's telling me what I need to get better. He's not just telling me just to tell me. He's telling me because he wants me to get better and he wants me to make it where he did. Yeah. And that's the biggest key, I think, going to getting offensive or former NFL players, former college players, and even former players of Georgia. I mean, you think about the biggest one is the head man. You know, he played at Georgia. Didn't Bobo play at Georgia?
He did.
Yeah, so having all that, man, I mean, that's huge. When you can have a player that played at Georgia and says, I wore the silver and black. Or the red and black. You know, I wore all that. I was in the same place you are. And we want to get to this school where it should be. I mean, they won back-to-back national titles. And same thing at Alabama. You know, we won many national titles when Coach Saban. And we're just trying to get it back to where it once was. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're right. It makes a difference.
And no disrespect to Tennessee and all our Tennessee following here, but Kirby Smart was 0-4 against Tennessee in his career as a player at Georgia. He couldn't ever beat them. So I think that wasn't something that set well with him. And, you know, now he's 1-9 or 9-1 rather. So I think he's trying to get them back.
We're hoping to get back to 1-9.
Well, that's a stat that may change, but now with all this chaos around SEC scheduling, that's one of the games that we're going to miss every year. I am anyways, because it was a guaranteed win, and I'm going to miss that. Guaranteed.
Kirby said after that first year with that Hail Mary, never again.
Oh, yeah. So he was 0-1 to start as a coach, and he's like, man, this is not going to happen.
Now I'm going to beat him like a red-headed stepchild.
Yeah, you talk about that, Jay. I don't know, man. That whole game was chaos because I thought we had won it. With very little time left. Yeah, I don't remember exactly how much time, but very little time left. Jacob Eason hits that guy in stride. He scores.
Jawan Jennings. Let that sink into your mind. You won't be able to sleep at night.
And then Jawan Jennings messed it up for me.
Yeah, it's wild, man. Who's that coach for Tennessee, Sean, that you're really looking forward to this year?
What I'm excited about is, our old coach was Kurt Schmidt, is the strength and conditioning coach. Like you said, Michael, he had experience in the NFL. I believe he coached for, I want to say San Francisco. I may be wrong, but he had NFL experience. He had, I think, 9 years experience coaching with Josh Heupel. And then we toss him to the side and we bring in this new guy, Derek Owings, our new strength and conditioning coach. And I'm pretty excited what he's going to bring to the table there at Tennessee. I mean, I've watched a couple interviews with him, and he seems like he's from a school of hard knocks, man. Like he's a strict coach, man. I believe he's going to turn things around and get these guys in shape. But the key benefits for him is he's got a championship pedigree at him, because he won the 2025 national championship with Indiana. He was their strength and conditioning coach. So that's huge for Tennessee to pick up a guy like that, as his caliber to help build us up. But he utilizes a lot of data-driven sports science model tracking. He tracks a lot of the player speed, power, vertical jumps. So the guy knows what he's doing, and he knows how to he talks about good weight, getting that good muscle. You want that good weight that fast muscle. You know, he's trying to bring get these offensive line, defensive line, you know, get these big guys that weigh 300 pounds, you know, hey, you know, let's move. You know, we need to get out there.
Like a cheetah.
Yeah, exactly. We need to move on the field, guys. I mean, you know how it is. You guys play football. Coaches always say, hey, no walking on the field. You know,
yeah. Well, Adam and I probably think about Adam and I both think about the same guy when you say that. One of our old high school football coaches who was notorious. We all made fun of him for yelling that all the time. No walking.
No walking. Yeah.
I mean, it didn't matter what you were doing, man. You could be going to get water and he'd be yelling, no walking. Yeah. But that's
no laying down.
Yeah. And that right there is such an underrated coaching hire that you're bringing up there. So really that's respectful to that guy to be mentioning him, because the strength and conditioning coach is almost I wouldn't say almost, I'd say is very important to these specific coaching groups. Like you got an offensive line coach, he's going to focus on offensive line. Well, guess what? The guy in the strength and conditioning room, he's going to be making sure those guys are strong enough and fast enough to do what the offensive line coach wants him to do. So that's an underrated coaching spot right there. So it's good.
Well, I said even coming from Indiana. Well, even from coming from Indiana, I mean, the physicality, like I said just a minute ago, the physicality they put on the field is almost unprecedented. I mean, I know they were grown men. I mean, they were like, 23-year-olds? I mean, grown men. Yeah. But still, I mean, just the physicality they played with. And if he can bring that same mentality to Tennessee, I mean, watch out. Yeah. Watch out. And the thing about these new strength and conditioning things, too, you know, Michael was talking about when we played back in the day. And when you played back in the day, too, I'm sure that there would be times that you'd be loafing or whatever. But now they got to use all these GPS things like tank tops. And they got a GPS locator on. They know your speed, your top speed, if you're loafing, if you're not putting out what you should. I mean, all that. There's so much sports science in it now that it's not like the old days of just going to the gym, son. It is down to a science of what can make you better. What gives you that 1% edge against a Georgia, against a BAMA, against an Auburn? You know, what can get you that 1% better? You know, that's what they really focus on now.
He's all about eating right, too. He said that I'm cutting out all full sugar Gatorades, no more fried chicken. I mean, that sucks, man. You know, you come in here and you're going to tell me what I can and can't eat.
Yeah,
I mean, he's in full control.
That's bad recruiting for Tennessee there. You take away my fried food. I don't know if I'm going to Tennessee. You tell a guy like Jordan Davis, which he was pretty big at Georgia, and I think the Eagles kind of wanted him to slim down and stuff. But man, that guy was a monster, and I think Kirby was cool with it. He didn't really care about him slimming up, but he played that role at Georgia perfectly. You were not going to run the ball up the middle if he was at nose tackle.
No, and that's the truth, man. And congrats to him on his new contract too, getting that money, son.
Oh yeah, big time.
Go ahead. Hey, listen to his track record, guys. All right. Over his last 5 seasons across with working with James Madison and Indiana, his teams compiled 65-9 overall record. I mean, that's unreal, man.
It is. It's kind of crazy. If he was at James Madison with Kurt Signetti as well. It's kind of crazy that he decided to come on over to Knoxville. Mm-hmm. But that's impressive. Yeah, money talks.
He did work with Josh Heupel back in 2018, so he's not. So he's not unfamiliar with Heupel's program.
And he might have also seen the writing on the wall, which is an early assumption I'm going to make, and we'll do these later in our podcast closer to season. But I'm thinking, and I may be dead wrong on this, and somebody's going to come back to this show and talk about it. I think Indiana was a one-hit wonder. I don't think they're going to be.
I believe it.
And maybe he saw that, so he's like, well, let me just go to Tennessee and help those guys out.
Well, hold on. You know how elite you have to be more than just a one-hit wonder? I mean, my God, dude, you've got to be.
All the talk about Kurt Signetti being compared to Kirby Smart, if we're talking about coaches that are currently coaching, I thought was crazy. Kirby's had ongoing success the last 9 years of his tenure at Georgia, so it's kind of crazy to compare the two. But I don't know. I may be very wrong, and Indiana may beat Georgia at first round of the playoffs, and I'm like, dadgum, I wish I hadn't said that.
Well, think about what they just done. I mean, think about what he just done. He took a program. I mean, okay.
Oh, yeah.
What you want to. Okay, but when Mark Richt left Georgia, okay, and then Kirby Smart came in, I know it wasn't a great team, but it's Georgia. When Josh Heupel coming to Tennessee, like it wasn't a great program at the time. It was off a bunch of fines and all this or violations and all that. It's still Tennessee. Recruits itself. Bama, when Saban got there, it's still Alabama. When he went to Indiana, that's a basketball school.
Yeah.
And nobody thought of Indiana like that.
Yeah, who's Indiana?
Yeah, he talks about. He said I had to come in here and change the mentality of people.
Yeah,
like to say I don't lose. He say Google me. You know what I mean? He's good, man. And think about what he done in 2 years. He took a program. It'd be like the equivalent, or maybe worse, of Vanderbilt, and turned them into a powerhouse national title that went through in 16-0 and dominated Bama. Who else? They dominated Oregon, which has Dan Lanning. And then practically was dominating the first half against Miami. I mean, just dog walked them. You know, I mean, that's impressive what he did. And I think he's here to stay because of what we're going to talk about later with the new players and stuff. But man, he is a good coach, and he did what Kirby couldn't do. Remember, Kirby had an opportunity year 2 win a natty in Atlanta. He didn't do it, and it went years before he got one. Kirk Sneddie did it in 2 years.
Yeah,
nobody program. And I'm not disrespecting Indiana because they are very good at football now. But really, you think about it in terms of a no name program, basketball school that you would put that on your schedule and say that's a win. They're not even going to compete, and then took them to winning the national title. That's impressive, and I think he did with a lot of that strength and conditioning coach's help. I mean, coming from James Madison and now going into Indiana, I mean, you have to change that mentality, and it starts right there with that strength and conditioning coach. Maybe he's going to do that at Tennessee, and he's going to go to Tennessee now and change that mentality of we've not won it recently, but no SEC titles, no national titles, but I'm coming here to change that mentality.
Well, do you guys remember against when we went and played Ohio State in the playoffs? Remember when our guys ran out onto the field shirtless? It's 30 degrees out, and they want to be tough. Hey, that's got to deal with strength and conditioning also, guys. I mean, I mean, think about it. These guys are playing in all different types of environments here. I mean, they've got to be mentally, physically prepared, and for anything really. So